Today, we're going to be making this from scratch using Adobe XD. Before we begin, I wanted to mention this video's sponsor, Skillshare.com, which is an online learning community for creators with over 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. So whether you want to fuel your curiosity, your creativity, or even your career, Skillshare is the perfect place to do just that. For instance, you're about to watch my Adobe XD tutorial, but you could watch all of these Adobe XD courses here at Skillshare. Skillshare is also super affordable with an annual subscription of being less than $10 a month. But if you're one of the first 500 people to click on the link here in the description in YouTube, then you get the first 2 months 100% free. So join up. Hey everyone, what's up? Gary Simon of Coursetro.com. So today we're going to hop inside of Adobe XD and we're going to design a mobile user interface like you just saw at the beginning of the video, and specifically how to design it well using good design fundamentals, but also how to transition using animations with Adobe XD's auto animate feature between two different pages and do so in a seamless manner. All right, so just to show you it once again, this is just a fictional UI we're going to be creating from scratch. We click on it. We can see we have a multi-step animation that involves multiple artboards. Actually, if I get up Adobe XD, we'll see it right here. No, we won't. There we go. We can see we have all of these artboards to go in and then out back to reverse the effect. And yeah, so we should be learning quite a bit about how to do that, as well as the UI design fundamentals. All right, so answer today's question: which UI design software are you using presently? I've asked this in the past, but some time has passed and changed. And I know there's Figma's very popular, Adobe XD is very popular, InVision Studio is popular, Sketch, people perhaps are still using that. Let me know what you are using currently for your UI design software in the comments. All right, let's get started. We're in Adobe XD, the opening screen here, and we're gonna choose iPhone X, this iPhone XS preset right here. Let's get rid of this sidebar as well. Don't need that for now, at least. Okay, so whenever you're basically here on a blank slate, with a new project, this could be something you're doing for a client or for yourself. You should first have an idea of obviously what the app is about, but more importantly, what content that you're designing for. For instance, the client might tell you that the main app screen, perhaps after any loading screens or whatever that whatever it may be, they want to have on the main screen a carousel perhaps of the latest news items, where people can just kind of swipe right, and maybe you can see 1.5, or you can see 2 of them, and then you can see 2.5, and you can swipe them or whatever. And then you can start to think about how you can frame the sections of the layout. And a lot of it is subjective, but still you have to adhere to solid UI design fundamentals such as white space, visual hierarchy, scale, color and contrast, spacing, and more. All right, so I'm going to be talking about all that stuff. So let's get started. So the idea, this is just a fictional app. I'm calling it Today's Tidbits. It's so stupid, such a stupid name, but I couldn't think of anything better. I'm not very creative. Where it's going to feature just kind of the latest stories, where people can scroll through the latest stories at the top, and then they can click on it, and then it'll open it up in some sort of animated sequence to reveal the whole article. Nothing groundbreaking for sure. So I'm thinking about having a rectangle where we have, it'll take roughly two thirds or so of the vertical space, and it'll span all the way across. I'm going to get rid of the border here, and I'm going to give this a color. So what I'm thinking about is up here, we're going to have like the time and, the phone battery stuff up there. We're also going to have the name, Today's Tidbits, so stupid, right here. And then we'll have kind of just like vertical boxes that will have a title, a very small description with a like or a love button and comments. And then they'll be listed out this way. And so I'm going to encase all that in a a container that has a different color as opposed to the background of the document itself. You don't have to do that, but it's what I'm choosing to do. It's one of the subjective things. So we're gonna choose a linear gradient. We're gonna get away from the whole flat design thing. I think gradients are starting to come back. So I'm going to move this over here, and we'll just do it kind of like a diagonal gradient. For this one, I'm just going to choose somewhere, I would say right around there. That is C400FE. And then also for the second bottom one down here, we'll do, let's see, we want it to contrast, we want it to be different, but not entirely too different. I kind of like that right here. So that's 8000FF if you want to follow along. We can add that to the color swatches there. So I kind of like that. It's kind of vibrant. It's a subtle gradient, which is ideal for most cases. All right. So now remember, I did mention I want to have like the time and the few of the icons for to simulate what the real appearance would look like on a mobile platform. So if we come over here, we can go to Get UI Kits. We have Google Material. And you could click download on Adobe XD. I've already downloaded it a million times. I think it's like my 10th copy. But you just close this out here. And it's opening up on my other monitor. I'm going to drag this over. And all I want is just these things right here. Okay. So if I take this, I'm going to right click on group. And I'm going to ungroup. I'm just going to grab these, copy that, get this out of the way, and paste them. Very simple. I'm actually going to probably scale them down just a tad bit. There we go. On my phone, I chose to put it like on my own personal phone. I like having the time over there, and then we'll have like the 3 icons or any of the other icons like over here. All right, very simple. I'm going to close that out. We don't need that anymore just for the purpose of this tutorial. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to use the type tool, and I'm going to put in today's tidbits. All right, looks horrible. So color and contrast, very important here. What color would you use? Well, something that contrasts well, right? So we can go full white, which is the most contrast you can get based on this background. What would this look like? Okay, kind of looks like crap, but you don't necessarily always have to go white. You can go kind of like right here in the middle. That's a color that's complementary that will work with this. You could do some other things. This would not work. This could work. Bring it up just a tad bit. So as long as you have that contrast in here, there's enough contrast, it will work. Red, I would suspect, yeah. If we start pushing it over this way, no, that's a no-go. So just experiment. You want to have contrast that works. Me, always, I'm not saying always, but when it comes to really important elements, such as like a title of something or a headline, I go for maximum contrast, which is usually the best bet. And to break away from tradition, you guys are going to crap yourselves if you follow this channel. I'm not going to use Montserrat. I'm usually using Montserrat, but today I decided that I'm going to use one called Nunito, and it's like a round type font. I like it. So you could download that on Google. Just go to Google, type in Nunito, N-U-N-I-T-O. It's right here. Font download. I think the first result is from Font Squirrel. Just download it. It has a bunch of weights. Pretty cool. Like it. I'm going to choose bold for that. Now, let's talk about placement. First of all, we're talking about alignment. When you have something that's kind of like 100% fluid width like this, where we have the time right here and we have the battery right here, you want these to be lined up with an equal amount of white space both on the top of your elements and also to the right, or in this element, the top and also to the left. All right, so I'm going to just drag that in just a little bit so we have an equal amount of white space here. Take these two right here, shift deselect that background, and make sure these are all lined up with each other as much as possible. Okay, so now where would we put this one, this element? Do we have to stay right here on this line, like where this column that starts right here? You don't have to. we're going to choose to put more white space for the main element that's going to be encasing inside of the UI. So you'll see what I mean about that momentarily. I'm going to make this just a little bit larger. And again, we don't want to put it too close. We want to make a decent amount of white space there. All right. So next, we're going to have another bit of text. So Control D will duplicate that. And for this one, it's just going to say the date. So what is today? I'm going to say April 24th, 2019. Okay. So we'll scale that down. Now this is where visual hierarchy starts to come into play, as well as scale. Leaving both of these the same size is a no-go, all right? I see some people do this, or they don't do it enough. So when it comes to what's called visual hierarchy, you want the eye to really focus on certain areas, and you do that through separating your different elements through design. So if we scale this down, we can start to see all of a sudden today's tidbit starts to stick out a lot more, as it should. That's the name of the app. And so we can go even smaller. And it's not just scale that you can do this with. You can also do it with color and contrast. So you could even take down the contrast by adjusting the opacity or the color. And you can even further separate the visual hierarchy, or reinforce the visual hierarchy through these different design elements. All right, so I think that's kind of fine right there. I think we're good to go right there. So now, after this, we're going to put in our main content container. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool, and it's going to be kind of large. I'm thinking somewhere right around, perhaps right here, because we want to feature a title, and we also want to feature a description, and also a kind of like a like box, and as well as the number of comments. So we want it to be large. You don't want them too small when you're trying to fit in that amount of elements. So we'll get rid of the border, and we're gonna make this white so it really sticks out well. It's really gonna draw the eye to this section, because obviously it's the thing that really contrasts the most based on the background. So now inside of here, we're gonna take the type tool, and we are going to put a title. Exciting, exciting stuff. Now, if you don't get it lined up perfectly when you first get it up there, don't worry. You can always adjust situation after that. So we'll just put a title right here. Let me change the color so you guys can see what I'm typing. I don't even know what I'm going to type. Watch as Gary Simon demonstrates how to create a user interface in Adobe XD. Okay, so stupid. All right, so let's increase that size. We're gonna make this large, easy for people to read. It's a title, that's what you want. I may adjust this afterwards, but let's keep that. Let's duplicate it, Control D. We're gonna move this down, and now we're gonna have a section for a brief description, which I will use lorem ipsum. Now I have a lorem ipsum plugin here, an Adobe XD plugin. Fill with placeholder text. What does that mean? Last set. Let's see here. Now if I insert text, how much does it give us? Not very much. So I'm going to go to a lorem ipsum generator right here, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click generate 5 paragraphs, and I'm just going to copy all of it and then just paste all that in there. There we go. I don't want it to be this we don't want it bold. So again, this comes down to in relation to type and separating out your different type elements. This will have to do with visual hierarchy. So we can also separate these elements through font weight. So look at it now. Now it's just slightly changes, and you see more emphasis is placed on this element up here. I can also adjust the line height just a bit. I think I want it to go right around there is fine, which was 16. And I think that's good for now right there. Okay, I kind of like that. Now let's have a section where people can click a heart and also or just see how many comments there are through icons. So I'll have a heart icon with a number and then the comment with a number as well. And there's a lot of different ways you could go about integrating this in terms of the design for this particular component. You could just simply put a high contrast button or icons here with their associated the counts essentially, or we could do something just more unique. But remember, always follow good design fundamentals. So let's duplicate just this container right here. And I'm going to hold Alt and drag that in and just drag it down. So we want this to stick out more. We're going to have it change up in color. So I'm going to grab just this color right here. And we're going to go in. Something that contrasts well with both of the colors that it's sitting on top of. So the white, I want it to contrast pretty well, but also this background right here. Okay, so you can also tinker around with the border radius of this as well. So now I'm going to put in a, let's do a comment icon. We can do that really quickly. So I will, let's see here. We'll take this right there. We'll get rid of the border. And we will use the pen tool. I'm holding Shift while making all of those anchor points, by the way. Get rid of the border and give it a fill. Ta-da! We got a comment icon. Okay, so let's group that. Oh, what happened? Take this and this. There we go. Hold Shift to select those. Control G. That's our comment. It's a little bit big, so we're going to scale that down. Holding Shift. Now again, look at the amount of white space that I have around these elements and away from each other. I'm always looking at having good white space and separation between our various elements. So I may even be able to get, might make that a little bit smaller, like 10. So as you can see, I'm continually making adjustments based on the overall composition. You know, scrolling in and out, trying to see and get a feel for how things are looking. So always look at that. Probably drag this in just a bit. And we could drastically change this even afterwards. So let's just keep on going. I'll just put like 43 comments and we'll make that white. All right, because we're dealing with this type of contrast where it's like a mid-level contrast, again, what I'm talking about, if we click here, it's pretty much mid-level in terms of it's light, and it's certainly not dark, but it's also, in terms of saturation, it's kind of in the middle as well up here. You don't really want to mix your colors up with these too much. Like, for instance, some people I would see might do this. They might make the icon black and then this white. That doesn't look good. Same thing with the type. People might make it black. I don't like that either. If anything, you make them the same. So like if you want to do, let's see, what would look good? You could do something like this, right around there. That contrasts well, but I personally like leaving it white. Okay. Now, that didn't go up high enough. Let me adjust that. Let me just double click into it and then pull it up. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to have a heart. And there's a quick way to make a heart. I forget exactly how to do it. I know in Illustrator it's very easy to do by hand. But I'm going to bring back up our what do you call, our Google material template that we opened up for Adobe XD, because there is a heart in there. I'm just going to grab it from there. All right, right there. Just going to copy that. Actually, I'm going to get in there and just copy that one specifically. Now we can close it. Sorry about that. I lied to you guys. And we'll paste that in here. So we can see the opacity, make that 100%, change it to white. We want it to be around the same size. Okay, let's duplicate this, Control D. Now, always try to, again, Adobe XD is great when it comes to getting you an equal amount of alignment between your various elements that should have an equal amount of alignment. We'll just say 11 here. All right, and then we could take all of these, put them smack dab in the center. And remember, you're dealing with mobile, so it would make good sense to make it easy for people to actually click these elements if they wish, as opposed to putting them real close together. All right, so far so good. Let's save this, tidbits. All right, so I like this here pretty decently. If we hit play, we can kind of see what it looks like in this context. Looks fine to me. Yeah, that's good. So now what we can do is we can take all this stuff, hit G to group them, and repeat grid. We'll go out 3, and yeah, that's fine. I would say right around there. I actually might want to make this a little bit larger. So let's ungroup this and delete those. And I'm just going to take everything, hold Shift, make it that large. All right, so now we have to make a few adjustments. So I'm going to make this type larger. That type right there is fine. This stuff all pretty much stayed around where I would want it to, I think, yeah. So now let's try that again, the repeat grid, and I go right around there. Okay. Actually, we're not even making a carousel out of this. Actually, we will. I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll just back up before we do that. And then beneath it, I'm going to have just a small area just to show you how you can work in additional panels of content with this particular gradient color. And remember, the border radius was 18. I'm looking at the right there where it's changed. There it is, right there. So these were 18 as well, if I recall. So you want to make sure all your panels are consistently designed. Yep, they're 18. And I'm looking at placement right now. Equal amount of white space on the bottom and the top, left and right. And so could we make this white? Well, it depends. Like, how important is this piece of content? And it's just going to be like a live feed of some sort. It's just going to say like a single sentence. It's more of an afterthought. So with that said, let's get rid of the border. And let's make it black and then drop the opacity down quite a bit, like that. There, I like that. Okay, so now in this section, we're going to have a little caption at the top. It'll say live, and we'll make it white. And we'll scale this down, something like 10. And I'll put just a circle, Shift and Alt. Let's get rid of that border. Could probably make this 11. There we go. Now I'm looking at the white space from the top to the left, and there's a little bit less on the top, so I'll drag it down. All right, and then we're going to drag this down just a bit, and I'm going to put in a type layer, left click and drag out. All right, and I'm going to say something else here. UI design in 2019 is getting, all right, just like that. We'll make this larger. Let's make this, I think, just to separate it out more visually, we'll make this not bold. So we'll do a regular. And then Let's see, do I like that or do I want this to be bigger? No. I don't like the spacing here. So let's see. Let's group those. I think that's better. So I'm just looking at the spacing, the white space around the various elements from the top, bottom, left. Probably could take, no, that's fine. There. All right, cool. So I pretty much like that. You could even separate these two elements out further if you just take the opacity down. Maybe not that. Maybe we could change, get in here like that. So again, visual hierarchy, people are more likely to see this part and it won't look quite as cluttered if you do this. So that works as well. Now we have an issue with alignment here. So we can see this amount of white space on the top of this container versus the bottom. We could stand to move this panel up right around there. Move this one down. And that's good. So now we've done a fair bit of work so far. So now I'm just going to do a really quick like skeleton UI part at the bottom. So before I do that, we're going to take the, well, not before, let's do it right now. We'll take the rectangle tool. We're going to make a very light gray. I kind of like that instead of just going all white, because then it can allow us to put like white containers on top of it. We'll put another subtitle. Actually, let's just not do that. Let's take this. We'll duplicate it. Right click before we get to the top and then just choose arrange and bring to front. Come down there. We'll make this, let's just go black and 100% opacity. Now another thing I'm looking at is the white space between this element here and the top of this element and the top of this element. So we want these to be even. Then at the same time, when we make that adjustment, we have to come back here. Let's group this, by the way, and kind of make these equal, not even, but equal as well. All right, and then finally, we'll put in another container. And we'll make that white, get rid of the border, 18 once again. All right, and then we'll put in real quickly, we'll just duplicate this. We'll make it gray. So again, this is what's referred to as skeleton UI. So we're not gonna put actual content because I want this to go faster than what it actually is. Just duplicate it. Maybe bring this in. Actually, no, we want to make sure those are of equal height. So I'll double click into here to grab those three anchors. Oh, that's strange. I was holding shift and it wasn't. Oh, that's fine though. No big deal. And then we'll just bring this in like that. Take those, group them, repeat grid. There. Okay, so there's our user interface design finally done in terms of design. So if you wanted to do the carousel thing for prototyping, very easy to do. I'm just going to show you real quickly. You duplicate it, the artboard, by selecting it, Control D. We'll take this, move it over here to the end of the last one, go to prototype, click on this one. Let's move these over from each other. Drag it there, and then we choose on tap. No, this is going to be drag, auto animate. There we go. Reverse it over here. Drag that. It'll remember your previous settings. Hit play, and we can drag between them. Very, very fun. But we're not going to have that right there. We're not going to set it up like that because we're going to focus on a different sort of interaction. So let's ungroup this. Delete that. We don't need that one. And so now what we can do, let's demonstrate, okay, what happens when somebody clicks on one of these? You know, what sort of animation might take place, and also what is the end result going to look like? And we're going to do multi-step animations, you know, because that's completely doable in phone and app development, whether it be that hybrid app development through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or native solutions. So what I'll do is we're going to duplicate this, all right, just like we did before. And we are going to move this off. So when somebody clicks on this, this is just going to move right out of the way. Now, we should get our layers back up because we don't want these to end up going off the side, off the artboard in a sense, because the animation won't work if it's not inside of the artboard right here. So one thing that's frustrating is if you do go off the artboard, and maybe I'm doing this wrong, but it suddenly disappears and it goes off the artboard if you move it off on the outside. So maybe somebody can mention that. I have just like 1 pixel of it showing up over here. You could also get rid of the opacity, but that's fine. I'm just going to leave it there because it won't be noticeable, especially because this is going to be kind of like an interim multi-step animation. This is only going to show up for a fraction of a second, this particular screen. Then we'll take this stuff down here and we will move it down. And we'll move this down as well. And I think we'll move this right there because we want to expand. The way I'm thinking of tackling this is we're going to keep this stuff here, but we're going to expand it out. So now if we go back to prototype mode and we choose this one, drag it there, it's going to be a tap, auto animate, easing. I think we'll do wind up and we'll do 0.4 seconds. So let's hit play. I hate how it's having these black borders around, but you know, whatever. So that's what wind up does. It kind of just makes for a very split second. It makes the animation kind of go the opposite direction real quickly. So if I hit play again, we can see how that works. All right. So then let's duplicate this. Let's go back to design mode. And let's take this container, push it all the way out to the left and right, leaving this here. You could probably go all the way out if you didn't want those rounded edges. I'm choosing to keep them. And then, let's see, we'll take this element, just this background containing element right here. We'll drag it down right to there or so. So we're deciding to keep this stuff. And then let's take this element. These should have been grouped. It's no big deal though. And we're actually going to have to adjust the height of this again. So let's take this, this, and this. And you don't want to group them right now because you'd have to go back and create the group out of here. So if you start screwing around with the layer names, I believe, and also how they're grouped, then you're going to screw things up with the animation. The animations won't work correctly with auto animate. So then we can also choose to scale this in, maybe just align it like that and move this up. And right there is pretty good. I did make this type a little bit too small, it looks like, but we can go back and fix that. And then we can just drag this up. Yeah, that type is way too small now that I see. And we could fix that. It's not a big deal. We can push this up to like 12 or so and 18. So all we have to do is just fix that here, 12 and 18. Let's type it in 12, 18. Do it right here as well, 12 and 18. And then finally 12 and 18. Sorry about that. But of course you're going to be making these adjustments. All right. So how do we get this artboard to go to this artboard automatically? Well, we come back to prototype. We select that. We drag it there. We're going to make this a time-based trigger with a 0-second delay. And I think for this one, let's do snap. And that'll be 0.4 seconds as well. So let's try this out. Let's hit play. And we'll click it. And nice. So it's quite smooth, it works well. You can experiment, with the different easing and the durations and all of that. Let's make one more. So we'll duplicate that, go back to design. And let's say we want a back button. Clearly, how are they going to get back to the main section? So we'll move that over, holding shift. We'll take the pen tool, and I'm going to do a simple back button right here. So hold shift. We're going to create just a triangle. And move this around as needed to make sure it's around the center. That's pretty good. I'm just eyeballing it here. And also, you want it to be the right size, kind of match up with the type to the right of it. Yeah, right around there is okay. That works for me. Okay, so now that I just introduced a new type or a new icon, we have to make sure that it's the same name and it's also in this area, in the previous artboard, if we wanted to animate from this one to that one. So we'll paste it, and I'm just going to move it off to the screen. And I think I will make sure, by the way, that it is in the artboard, and I'll make the opacity 0. There we go. And so that would be like the final animation for this sequence. So now we can make it based on time 0, and we'll just do snap is fine too. So now let's check it out. Click, and it comes out. Very, very cool stuff. So yeah, that looks pretty solid. All right, so let's save this. And unfortunately, I'm not aware, and I could correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but to reverse this animation, like if you clicked the back button to go back here, back from there, back there, you can't just drag this back to the previous artboard, and they won't work. It'll create a situation where these go back and forth between each other. So what I'll do is take these two, duplicate them. Oops, wait 1 second. Make sure you select the artboards themselves. We'll duplicate them. We'll drag them down over here. And by the way, it looks like this was not a part of our artboard up here. Well, I'm not too concerned about it. And so then we take this in prototype. We drag it to here, which is just a copy of this one. And we just basically reverse the steps that we made previously. So this one will go to here. And again, this is going to be based on, what was this one to here? This was snap. Okay, so this is snap as well, I believe. Snap, yep. And then this one can go back to the home. And this one can be based on wind up. I believe that's what we used the first time. All right, so now let's give it a shot. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. This one, it's just this button. It's a time trigger. I mean, it's a click-based trigger, a tap. So this will be tap. There we go. Let me make sure these are all set up correctly. That's time. Okay, let's try it out. Click this. Click back. There we go. Awesome, awesome stuff. Let's try it again just for the fun of it. Awesome. All right, so hopefully you learned a lot throughout that tutorial about UI design and also animating with Adobe XD's Auto Animate feature. Jesus, learn how to talk, Gary. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.